But we will begin this half hour with Anthony Weiner, the embattled candidate for mayor here in New York City. The Democratic primary is tomorrow. Anthony, good morning. It's good to see you again.
You as well.
I don't have to tell you where the polls are right now. I think the last one I saw had you at 7%. Do you still feel you can pull this out? What are your chances of winning?
They're good.
How do you explain that when we see a list like that and we see you at number 4?
This is why we have elections. This is why, look, this is why we have elections. Voters get to decide these things, and I'm confident we're going to do well.
You said that you knew this race would be brutal for you, that you predicted basically the arc of coverage that you got. That kind of begs the question, why would you go forward with it? Why would you do it knowing how brutal it would be? Did you put your political ambitions over your family?
Well, because I didn't think that you should get to decide. I thought voters should get to decide. I knew the media coverage would be what the media coverage is, but I thought that citizens wanted a choice. They wanted someone who's going to make a campaign based on ideas, someone who focused on them. We had a great metaphor for the campaign. Cameras circled around me at subway stops, voters sneaking in between the cracks of the cameras and saying, tell me about housing, tell me about schools, tell me about the things that maybe these guys with these cameras aren't going to talk about. So I made a decision that I wasn't going to let you all decide. I was going to let New Yorkers decide, and they're going to decide tomorrow. And if they do, if they want a candidate who's got good ideas, someone who's shown they're willing to fight for them and has the independence to do it, they're going to choose me.
If they vote and it turns out something along the lines of the polls we see, will they have rejected those very issues, rejected you personally?
I don't know. Look, I've had a lot of headwinds in this campaign. I was the underdog from the moment I got in. I'm not gonna say you shouldn't fight for things you believe in. The same way a lot of people don't watch your show, but you still want them to, and you still want to put on a good show. And so that's the same way I view these things. I think that Peter, if you believe in something and you believe you want to fight for it, and I've fought for these things my entire life, I'm not going to stop just because it got a little tough. And whatever tough things I went through as a candidate are nothing compared to what a lot of people go through who are voting tomorrow.
We talked this weekend, and it struck me that what seemed hardest about the campaign for you personally was how tough it was on your wife, Huma. Do you regret bringing her into this? I mean, she was a big part of your rollout.
Can I tell you, first of all, she wasn't a big part of my rollout. She was 4 seconds in the opening video. She wasn't on the campaign trail for like a month thereafter, and then everyone says, where's Huma, where's Huma? She came out for a couple of days. So let's, dial down this whole she was a big part of thing. This thing was always about me, always about the issues in the campaign. And frankly, it was also a lot about the mistakes I made in my personal life.
And at the moment of need, when this second wave of scandal broke, she's the one who came out and said, I have forgiven him. And the implication was, if I've forgiven him, then voters can forgive him.
Go ahead.
Do you regret having her put herself out there because it's damaged her so much?
This notion I had her do something. She's my wife, and she's got things that she wants to say, and she's someone who wanted to stand up and say that she thought that the coverage was over the top, and she thought that these things about my personal life, which are far in our background, should not be things that are dispositive for me being elected. She's voting for me tomorrow, and she's been a great supporter. But this campaign isn't about me. I know you have this fascination about making this a soap opera, but for citizens of the city of New York, a lot of them wanted this to be about the issues of the campaign, and maybe I had that wrong. Maybe you turned out to be right, I turned out to be wrong.
I had to be struck this morning when I saw your closing ad. It has you on your stoop, the stoop you grew up with, grew up on in Brooklyn. The first ad had Huma right by your side, and it just raises the question, and we can leave it at that.
It's not. I'm going to tell you, no, we're going to leave it now. We're going to leave it now. You asked me in the interview the other day, I Meet the Press, you asked me 7 questions about Huma. You've asked every question about Huma. She is my wife. I love her deeply.
You're still together.
But I have to tell you something. I'm the candidate. Tomorrow's the election. I know there might be somewhere out there in Davenport, Iowa, someone cares about my wife, but citizens of New York want to talk about their future, and so do I.
What do you think your future is? If you don't win tomorrow, would you run for political office again?
Look, my intention is to win tomorrow. That's why I'm a candidate for mayor of the city of New York. That's why every day I've got 13 events today. I'm going to be all around the city, telephone town hall meetings, talking about issues, talking about the need for better health care in our city, a single-payer health care system. That's why I'm running for mayor.
Do you feel like you would ever run for Congress again?
No.
Why not?
Congress is not that good a job anymore. Frankly, there's such a center of gravity around stopping anything from happening. The Tea Party right has, frankly, held hostage to the place. It's not a great place if you want to go and solve problems. Being mayor of the city of New York is a better place. I hope to be the mayor of the city of New York, and I see no reason to go to Congress after that.
You told me the other day this behavior that got you into some trouble is behind you. You are no longer engaging in that kind of behavior.
Yes, I did tell you that.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct.
And then finally, I noticed this quote from you actually in the New York Times piece last spring. You mentioned your brother, and he said, dude, you'd be great if you ran. You'd be a great mayor or something, but don't do it if it's going to screw you up again. Do you feel this race has been worth it?
Can I tell you something? This is a little bit what the problem is. Look, you want to talk about this personal thing in my background. I guess you can do that with candidates. This is now the citizens of the city have no embarrassing things about my personal life. They know I was one of the leading fighters for health care. They know I've got the best ideas in this campaign. They know I've talked about them and fought. They know that every time someone like you has said, I want to talk about something besides the people of the city, I've tried to focus it back. I'm going to keep doing that.
Anthony Weiner, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.